All right, and the last thing we're going to do, this is something I've been kind of toying with for a while. I considered kind of doing a bunch of top 10s for you guys as far as just video game box art, cover art, whatever you want to call it. I'm fascinated by it. It's very much like beer labels, which we've talked about on this channel. Like, that's the thing that can sell a game. If you didn't know what a game is about, even to this day, games that I really love, if I'm on like Xbox, the cover art like will be the thing of, ooh, do I even want to click on this game?
So much box art today is just main character standing there.
It is. And so
we are not in a heyday of box art.
Yeah, so for us, probably the best would be 16-bit and before. Like, I think the Atari had some crazy ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I've unfortunately...
I mean, you had to be extra creative with those games, too.
I unfortunately went back and watched or looked at every single one, trying to start compiling a list of top 10s for Atari stuff. That could be a video that comes out. Oh, no, I've already made the list. You're going to have to go through it.
Oof.
But I've already kind of preemptively, like, okay, these ones are terrible. These are great. These are eh. So... we might get there. So in a new bit, if you want to call it that, we're each going to pick a game, and we're just going to talk about the art.
One game a week. Podcast.
Yeah, so basically, if you're watching the main podcast, I'm going to hold this up. You probably won't see it great. So if you're watching the segment, I'm going to have the actual picture up. One that I always had weird feelings about, and I want to point out why to Jim, but I'll hold it up, is The Haunting starring Polterguy. This is one of my favorite Genesis games just because of how goddamn unique it is, and I'm trying to find the best angle for you guys. For those of you who've ever played it, you basically play as this poltergeist who keeps scaring families out of houses, and like you possess items throughout the house, and it causes them to freak out. If you don't get them scared enough, you go to the underworld, have to pick up like ecto goo or whatever the frig it is. Great game. One of the most unique games on the Genesis, in my opinion. Definitely an underrated game.
Back when EA was awesome.
Yeah. So, from this cover, Jim, a few things I noticed right off the bat. So,
that friggin' hair.
Yeah, so first starting off with Polterguy.
The first thing is, this is 90s.
So the hair, the jacket, the leather jacket with the chain around it.
This is the Toot era. This is the attitude.
So it's like, okay, that makes perfect sense why he looks like that, right? The family, it's very interesting to me, like, because it's 90s, it's such a, like...
not stereotypically Italian enough in my mind.
Well, it's not even just Italian to me. It's very, like, 60s. It's like the dad with the cigar and the suit, the bratty kids, the thing that always cracks me up with the wife, and when I was a kid, I thought I was missing... like,
what, that 5-head?
Well, no, the fact that that's supposed to be, I think, a wig coming off of her head, and she's bald. Because if you look right here, the hair comes off her head. So that's what fucks me up about this, is like, her hair is coming... like, why is she bald?
Maybe she has cancer, Brian.
That's what I thought. Right now, looking at it, like, when I chose this, I was like, that's kind of fucked up.
Maybe she's got that, what was that, alopecia?
I don't know.
I forget what that's called.
But either way...
where you lose all your hair.
It's like, to me, though, this is a very interesting... like, if you were walking through a video store, you probably see it from the side, but if you saw it from the front, if you were being honest with yourself, what the hell would you think this game is about if you didn't look at the back?
I mean...
you see a couch with lips...
a couch with lips, a family running away, and a
perfect
spooky
fucking
green
teeth, can
guy.
I say? Because
very well-maintained teeth.
Because that's one of the things I'd notice. If I saw a couch with teeth that good looking, I'd be like, God damn, like, you ain't even scary. You just...
couch has been to Brushy Land.
Yeah. Fucking Brushy.
Only Philadelphia will get that.
So, my point is, like, you see this cover. Okay, so you see this family running away from a couch with lips and this guy. Like, are you going to kind of get what the game's about just from that?
I'll say this. Like, when I was a kid, I was with my collector mentality and shit like that. I wasn't a collector when I was a kid. But, like, when I would go to stores, I'd go through all the aisles and shit like that at Genesis games, looking for something to buy. I never even remember hearing about this until a couple years ago. So, maybe I saw it back then. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was more limited release. I don't know. But it never made an impact back then. It was a game that no one really talked about, so a big thing to get you off the shelf is your cover. So obviously, in the grand scheme of things, this didn't make that big an impact. It's like a hidden gem now. It's goofy. To give it credit, it does show you exactly what goes on in the game, but by looking at it, you have no idea what's going on.
And we know that's a symptom of most games.
Right.
Like either it's completely misleading or you're not really sure.
And this isn't even misleading at all.
Like now here's the deal. You turn around, you look at the back. You see a dartboard that turned into an eyeball bleeding. You see that chick freaking out at what looks like some piece of food with a face on it. You see the couch with a mouth. Like you see some shit that you're like, oh, okay, this, especially when you see the blood coming out of the eye. To me, that's a perfect indicator that like this could be a pretty goddamn crazy game. Me being into horror, I saw Haunting, I saw that shit as a kid. You know, my brother, I've said multiple times, he always got sports games for Genesis. This was one of mine. This was like, I need to get this. Played it, was not disappointed. The amount of objects in the game were amazing. But we're not talking about the game, just the cover
16 mega power. I mean, you have all the graphics in the world. Ah!
So, overall, I mean, how would you, if you, not saying you are rating it,
Right.
but in general,
I would say good, not great.
yeah, it's definitely well done.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Like, the artwork's good, stylized, definitely of the time, tells you what's going on in the game, but something about it just doesn't draw you in.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, that guy, the creepy dude, like they were, I don't know.
I think it's got to be Polterguy itself.
Well, Polterguy himself, though, like, they trademarked that shit. But my thing is, like, maybe they intended him to be a bigger character than he turned out to be. This is probably...
Maybe they were hoping for a mascot.
I mean, maybe they thought, like, after Beetlejuice and some of that shit, like, this was kind of like a... That's the thing they go towards.
I didn't even think of that. That's a good point.
So, I don't know. To me, it's a very unique cover art. Yeah, it's not the best because, like, of all the things that you animate in that friggin' game,
you know what it is?
Using a couch is the weirdest one.
It's probably too complicated for its own good. Like, if you look at other EA games, like Jungle Strike, you have a helicopter flying, shit's blowing up. Road Rash, motorcycles on the cover, guy kicking or, like, whipping with a chain.
Yeah.
Simple. This, you have a couch with lips with family running away and some green guy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to take in there. It's accurate, but I don't think, like, for a person who doesn't know what they're looking at going into it, they're not going to look at it and go, they might be like, oh, let me take a look at the back, which would be a good first step, but
yeah.
I don't know, just something about it. It's hard to even articulate how it just slightly misses the mark for me.
So, like you said, this is just a random bit that I wanted to come up with. Jim, next week, we'll pick a game. We'll talk about it. If you're just watching or if you're listening on iTunes, I apologize. You have to look it up. If you're watching on YouTube, the longer clip, just what you're seeing here is what you can see. But if you're watching the segment, you know, I'll have the picture up. Let us know what you guys think. Regardless of the game, do you like the cover art? To me, I'm kind of with Jim. It's not amazing, but it definitely caught my attention as a kid, which is basically the reason why I got it. So,
especially for you being a horror guy. So, like, for a horror guy like you, it's perfect branding.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, the horror cover would have to be terrible for me to be like, well, fuck this game.
Right.
So, yeah, let us know if you guys think that's an interesting bit. And if you do, if you have any covers you really want us to talk about, send it our way. Or maybe we have the game. I don't know.
Yeah.